Welcome to Season 3 of This Is How My Brain Works, the podcast about living, thriving, and laughing through the ups and downs of neurodiversity. We explore the real stories, the real struggles, and the real strengths that come with thinking differently.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful episode of This Is How My Brain Works. I'm Jason Rudofsky, along with my co-hosts, Krista Gano and Michael Collins. Sarah Hines is on assignment, as we say in the biz. Wow, today's topic is impulsivity and the 24-hour rule. 24-hour rule, I think Michael just sort of informed me, was waiting 24 hours before you make some huge decision or an irrational decision or a decision that's not good, which is irrational.
Maybe it's really good. You just got to wait the 24 hours.
24 hours. I think, to be honest with you, 24 hours is like going cold turkey.
It seems like you'd have severe withdrawal from whatever it is. Like,
you know what? Let's start with an hour. Try an hour.
Right.
Try 2 hours. See how it goes.
This is something that we just saw in here as far as like ADHD topics. The 24-hour rule, pausing for a day before acting on emotional reactions to reduce impulsivity. But I'm with Rudy. It seems like an eternity, 24 hours.
I mean, you're stewing in it for 24 hours. That's ridiculous. That seems like it's more harm.
Hold on.
Well,
I think it depends on what it is, because
if it's a pint of ice cream versus a house, yes, there's...
Right. So a pair of shoes that are more than your budget and you know it is different than, should I eat the ice cream?
Yeah. The 24-hour rule. I think it is.
But my ADHD kid, I've saved him already at the tender age of high school hundreds of dollars by forcing him to wait to purchase a pair of, and it's so funny because he'll come back to me months later and he'll go, I'm so glad I didn't get those ugly jeans, because you're right, Mom, they were ugly. And I am talking like, I just want to speak to it from the person who takes the brunt of the obsession when it's happening, because it's like, I have to have them. Child, those look like dystopian desert jeans. You can't have those. Those are ugly as sin. No, I have to. Mom, I have to. Ugh. The amount of, I should get a Nobel Peace Prize, as should probably every other parent, for going through the amount of obsessive talk around some of these items to later, even a month later, have him go, those were not great. I'm glad I didn't get them.
Yeah. The dystopian desert jeans.
Ooh, the dystopia. We went through a brief dystopian desert vibe look that I was really opposed to.
There's a lot of foliage prints, camo foliage type prints.
Well, I just was opposed to, like, do we need to look like you're in war?
Yeah.
Could we just stop? Like, I mean, like designer war, but still war.
I think there is, I think this rule is good for the purchases or the signing up for the thing. I think, my wife and I have a sleep on it rule. Like, if it's like, okay, I mean, when you're about to plunk down $1,000, $2,000 on a mattress or something, it's like, yeah, let's sleep on it, because the salesperson's so good about freaking you out about, organic something or other, or sustainability, or what you're breathing in during the night, and so you're all in this emotional state, which is what a good salesperson should be doing, is getting you into an emotional state, because then you're more likely to pull out the credit card. So if you can have that sleep on it rule, I think it's pretty effective.
How can you sleep when you have to think about it all night? That's my point. What's the point? Because you're not going to sleep on it, you're going to think about it a lot. You're going to think about it a lot.
You have to figure out some way to distance yourself from the thing. I think you can kind of, I think the impulsivity, whatever is behind it, would it be like dopamine, or would it be, I think that's largely kind of what you hear, but there might be some other.
But could you reframe it a little bit, in the sense that I think the dopamine actually comes from the chase, not the get.
Well, that's a great point. Yeah, I think you're
And let me
right.
give
Like,
you an
because what
example.
happens when you get it?
Temu.
You don't care.
Yeah.
Temu.
Buyer's
Oh, yeah.
remorse.
Jason and his relationship with Temu.
It's my relationship with Temu because here's the impulsivity. If I have a little extra money and I want to spend, it's like going to a casino. They make it feel like a casino. And you can flip through 1,000 different golf things, but
First
they're
of all, you
all the
spin the
same.
wheel. You spin the wheel to see
You
what
have
kind
to.
of
They
discount you
force
get.
you. This is where they lose me as the ADHD person because I'm literally like, why do I have to push so many buttons to
Right.
get
Can
to
I
the
just
thing?
do it once and give me the discount? Do I have to
I'm
do it
out.
again?
I leave.
Right. And the
Yeah.
truth is, everyone's getting the exact same discount. You see it at the bottom in small letters. It's like
Yeah.
everyone gets the same, the best, everyone gets 100%, everyone gets whatever, but they trap you in so many different ways. But it is that impulsivity of having, like, you've got some extra money and you're just going to go fishing. You know what I mean? When the truth is, you don't need any of that crap. There's nothing
Yeah.
you need. You don't need any of it. You don't need
I
any.
think, and I think Chris is onto something as far as like
You're
the
just
dopamine
gathering
probably
stuff.
is in the
How do you
chase.
convince yourself?
Well, so impulse, like the ADHD brain
It's
is
not
very,
24 hours.
it's like a moth to a flame, like novelty, something that's new and different and novel. It's like, that's what I've been missing in my life,
Right,
and
right,
so you need it. You
right,
need to have it.
right.
And then after you get it, you get into that buyer's remorse, shame spiral or whatever.
Oh,
Well, I actually saw something on Instagram. There's a newer creator talking about ADHD and ADHD. And one of the things he said was the thing that people have to realize is when you have ADHD, when you find that thing, that shiny object, that thing, and that becomes your personality for approximately 2 weeks. and, and you're just like, I'm now a champion golfer. And so I'm going to do everything that and I should have picked golf because that's Jason's thing. So I'll change it. I'm now the best knitter in the world. And I'm going to buy all the knitting things and I'm going to do all of the knitting stuff. And I'm going to knit every day. Every day I'm going to knit. I'm going to knit. I'm going to knit. And then you get to day 14 and something happens with your schedule and you can't knit anymore. And the spell, the impulsivity spell is
That's a good way to put it. I
It's
like the
broken.
spell. You're under
And then
the
all of a sudden you're like, I no longer will ever knit again. And then it sits in a corner with the shame spiral of all of the other things that were your personality for approximately 2 weeks
yeah.
before something. And that's how I've been with exercise my whole life. I've been like, I'm going to do it. Who am I in there? And then the moment, and every day I've got to do it every day. I'm in hot yoga and I'm so extreme with it. And then something happens. I get sick, whatever it looks like. And then all of a sudden I'm like, well, I can't ever go back to that.
The door has shut
It
on
is
that
shut.
whole thing.
The spell is broken.
I can't
right.
I'm
And then
no
there's
longer.
that other person on the shoulder was like this. What a ridiculous idea. Why would you even think of something like that? You went through all that trouble and it was such a ridiculous
I'm
idea.
no longer exercise Betty at that point. We have to wait until the new version shows up.
Well, here's what I did at work. I was like this, you know what? In the wintertime, when it's cold, we go in and we sit in the lounge, basically, watch the news for 2 hours, eat, whoever brings in whatever, or we make breakfast and we sit around for 2 hours. No wonder I've gained 10 or 15 pounds. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get up when I get to the shop. I'm going to walk the course. I'm going to walk the course and get my exercise in, da 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 da. Well, guess what? That was like a year, 2 years ago. During the winter, I'm going to bring in some weights. I'm going to do some weightlifting.
Weighted
I'm going to do
vest.
some push-ups, right? And you know what? I had a donut this morning and a breakfast burrito, and we watched the morning news for an hour and a half. There was a cat, just so you know, in Arvada that was up in they did a big 3-minute, 4-minute story live. There was a cat caught up on but I mean, you know what? And every day I think to myself, why are you sitting here? You can get out and I do get up and do stuff, but I'm like, I could walk. I could take a great walk, a nice morning walk right now.
Well, and
for
that
an hour, because we don't do anything for 2-3 hours.
See, that's an interesting thing about that impulsivity piece or whatever too, is that is that I think we are like in that situation, you have other people who are doing the other behavior. And so to peel yourself off away and do something different, I think always feels a little tough.
But
But
Krista, here's the thing. I
not that they would care, but
because
I
I've
just think it's
mentioned
tough.
it to myself before that I should do that, and I keep mentioning it. There's that fire. There's that pilot light that keeps kind of going out that needs to be relit, and it keeps getting relit, but then goes out. Right? There's something wrong with
Yeah.
the furnace. The pilot light works. There's just something wrong because
Because
it
you have
keeps
to
telling me.
gamify it. It's why
Yeah.
Temu works. It's why Temu works, but walking doesn't. You have to gamify it. And that's the
Right.
thing. So there's this new thing out right now where you can it's essentially I'm like, why are we legalizing gambling of everything? Where you literally I can't remember the name of the website or the app starts with a K, but you make predictions on everything. And they make it sound like you just make money by going there and making predictions on something like the weather or whatever. But really, it's gambling, right? Because you're putting down a certain amount of money and saying, I'm going to bet that we get snow tomorrow and it's X number of inches or whatever it is. So they're gamifying. They're essentially wrapping a bunch of neurodiverse people into like gambling on everyday
So,
things. But the gamifying thing, I think, is really interesting.
so on that, I think you're because we were before this episode, we were also talking about rational versus irrational thinking, and if I can just briefly go over, rational thinking is based on reality, evidence, and long-term consequences. It involves planning, emotional regulation,
Ugh.
and acknowledging nuances without
Panic.
jumping to
Oh, how
conclusions.
boring.
Those are that's what, like when you talk about executive functioning, I mean, that's what
That's all.
it is.
Right.
Irrational thinking, driven by immediate, intense emotions and cognitive distortions. I failed this task, therefore I am a total failure. It is often an automatic all or
Or
nothing.
I can finish 10 hours of work in an hour.
Oh, for sure. Automatic all or nothing reaction to perceived threats or stressors. So
Wait,
that's
say the last one.
um, it is often an automatic all or nothing reaction to perceived threats or stressors.
Yes,
So
all or
that's
nothing.
like
All or nothing.
catastrophizing, all or nothing. Like you go to DEF CON 5 with something, and then you're not doing all those things that are the rational thinking. But that's not what stimulates
But don't you think so?
the
Here's
brain.
Right,
well,
that's no
exactly.
fun.
That's no fun. But here's the thing: there
No,
are
it's
there are
not fun.
definitely times because I think there's two sides of this coin, right? Like you've got the definitely not wanting to be impulsive about certain things, like jumping into the coaching program that's going to solve all your problems for $15,000 or whatever, or even a
It was
thousand dollars.
9,000, the one I listened to yesterday.
Yeah, yeah. So there's definitely like taking the time to not be impulsive there. But there's also the other side of it. I think like Mel Robbins talks about it, which is that sometimes we get so scared to move or so paralyzed that we don't. And our brains are wired to keep us safe. And so there's also the flip side of that I think she talks about like, if you need to do something that feels scary, make the decision in 5 seconds, like say yes in 5 seconds before the brain kicks in to tell you that it's not good. So, and again, I don't think either one of those sides is good for all things. So sometimes we really to not need to be impulsive, and sometimes we need to like stop being so scared and just jump and do the thing. So, and I don't know what that looks like for neurotypical people. Like I was listening to, there's that great couple. I'm sorry, I'm talking about Instagram a lot today, but there's that great couple where he's neurotypical and she's ADHD. And they talk a lot about how different their brains work. And he's just sort of like, he has no problems with any of these decision-making situations. And she totally is like all of us. And so I don't know what it's like to be in a neurotypical brain, but I can tell you that I am constantly trying to ask myself, like, is this the one where we leap because we need to? We've got to override the brain, or is
Yeah.
this the one where we take a breath? Because Laura, my best friend, says something that it resonates with me all the time, which is if you are confused and cannot make a decision, that means the information hasn't arrived that allows you to make that decision easily. So there's nothing to do but wait. and she's got ADHD. So, so I think that's really wise, this idea of like, if I sleep on it, if I, there was this great thing I read recently that talked about how much our brains work while we sleep. That we have this idea that our whole body's shut down, but actually our brains are incredibly active while we sleep. And so
Of
if you go
course.
before you go to bed and you say, I'm trying to solve this problem, or I'm trying to figure out if I should buy the thing or do the thing, work on it, brain, that your brain will actually work on that. And in the morning you'll wake up and have a little bit more clarity. So there's
And
something
also
to all
remember
of
the
it.
nightmare that you went through because you were thinking about it so much. And it was like, you know what I mean? You're like, I had this
Well,
weird dream about
I,
this thing that I've
I
been
have lots of
worrying
dreams.
about, that I was told to sleep on. But when I went to sleep, all I could do was have these weird dreams about it.
But then you put it into ChatGPT and then you look at all the symbolism and maybe you find your answer,
Yeah.
which is what we talked about last week. Um, anyway, I think it's complex, just like everything else. I think it's a complex thing.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
also do think we're driven. I mean, if you look at the dopamine drive, now I want to be clear. I would love to win the lottery. But playing the fun in playing the lottery when you do it, especially if you do it with friends, is in talking about what you would do if you won. Like there's something
Right.
about, similarly to buying the thing. It's like there's something about the chase or the fantasizing before something happens. That is where I think that's where a lot of the dopamine lives, because once you buy the thing, you do the thing, you're immediately hit, often, Jason, be honest, with regret or questioning yourself, wondering how long it's going to take to get you to you. Like all of these things. That's not where the dopamine lives.
Can I say that I want to tell you this? I'm going to just be very open. Um, at the end of the year, there were leaves all over the street everywhere. I said, you know what? Uh, I wanted to get like a leaf blower that is also, it sucks up the leaves into bags, but I have blowers, so I didn't want the blower. I just wanted
The leaf
like a,
sucker.
not a sucker, but just where you put all the leaves,
Oh yeah, yeah.
like a little one, like a compact one. So I ordered one. It was 100 and I don't know, $12. It came over from overseas because I got it off of Temu. It sat on the side of my house. And maybe this is that waiting period, but it sat on the side of my house for about, I don't know, 3 weeks, still in the box. And I kept looking at it and looking at it. And finally I said, you know what? What am I doing with this thing? I've blown all the leaves into the places. There's no leaves around now. I do it every year. I've never had one of these. I don't need it. I sent it back. I went to Temu. I said, I need a refund with this. They sent me, I get like a return label. I went right to UPS, sent it back, got my money back.
My gosh, I could win. Because
It's a
how
big
many of
win.
the times where we're like, I just don't know what to do with it. I'm going to let it sit there for 5 years and then I'm just going to
Yeah.
give it to Goodwill because I don't know what else to do. Like I, that is so great, Jason.
So, I mean, it felt kind of good because I really thought, like, what? And maybe it was that time because it was so impulsive, right? I want it. I want it. I want it. I was looking at Home Depot and all these places of where I could get a shredder. It's like a leaf shredder, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And finally, I found this little compact one for a pretty reasonable price. And I thought to myself, now I'm going to go pick up all the leaves that I've blown and now I'm going to mulch everything. Like when do I really have the time now to do that?
Right.
I'm
There's
living,
a time to
I'm
mulch.
not even in my own house right now. So what am I? It's ridiculous. So I sent it back. And I have gotten a couple things from Temu where I've looked at it like, what do I need another pair of golf shoes for? I mean,
Well,
honestly.
I
But then
think
I say to
I
myself, well, those don't feel good. I like these with that outfit.
well, I think where, not to get political because I don't want to necessarily, but I think where the state of our economy is that we're all having to ask ourselves if we really need things right now.
Yeah.
Right. And what's fascinating to me is how often I would never ask that question of myself before and just be like, I want the hit, right? And now I really do look around and go like, no, no. I mean, no, no. And also the gadgets. Like I don't need an avocado knife because I just have a knife. and it
Right,
works.
right, exactly. You
I don't need
you don't
any,
need a special, right.
I
like
will
no
You
say,
don't need a
single purpose.
grapefruit
No
knife. What
single
about the
purpose.
grapefruit knife that has
Yeah.
a little special curl?
I hear what
Yeah.
you're saying on
Aerated.
Yeah.
this, and I agree for the
Uh-oh.
most part. However, I did
Uh-oh.
buy this thing that scoops out the peanut butter, and
What?
whoops.
Isn't that a spoon, Michael?
No. It's like a spoon. It's like a spoon spatula. It's a specialized tool, and I swear that's one of the. I've always, every time I use it, I'm like, I'm so happy that I bought this thing. But that, but I do agree that there are other things that you can usually use. You don't need to have the total specialized thing.
You could just get a small spatula.
No, because it has a different way that it scoops than the spatula. It gets into all the.
I know there are certain little utensil thingies that I like, certain ones that I'll use.
So here's okay. Key aspects of the reward system are underactive in the ADHD brains, making it difficult to derive reward from ordinary experiences.
Right. That's why
That's
the
why
gaming
that's
is
why
so
Krista says
huge.
the gamification. So
Gamification.
the dopamine deficient brains experience a surge of motivation after high stimulation behavior triggers a release of dopamine. So it's
This is
like,
why, we just actually, and this is only on my mind because we just posted it as our throwback this week. But this is why to-do lists and planners and some of those other things don't work as well for us because they we I don't there's like there we forget about like we don't utilize them well. Like there's not dopamine and we don't get that same like a neurotypical person I think gets a dopamine hit. Correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, because I think but I think they get a dopamine hit by like doing the check mark off of a list or what like they really do. We don't ever feel like any of that is done. Like I might get a small sense of relief, but then I'll be automatically overwhelmed by thinking how it's all going to start again tomorrow. Like
yeah.
I don't get satisfaction from a clean house, although I love a clean house, but I don't get satisfaction from it because I start to all immediately catastrophize how long it's going to take to have to before I have to do it again. So there's no satisfaction in it.
Well, I think maybe that's like something that you were saying earlier as far as the survival brain. Like that's the we need to like look for ways that to protect ourselves or you know it's like it's going to get messy again, so I have to stay vigilant or I have to stay on guard or I have to worry about like it's clean now but it's still gonna so I have to be prepared for when it's dirty again. Like we can
Yeah.
never just sit there and relax and enjoy it because it's
Yeah.
like it's going to start all over
See,
again.
that's that's why I need to make more money because I used to be when I was younger, I used to be very stressed out about having someone come and like clean my house or do whatever. And now I'm literally like, I really wish I had enough money to do that right now because I would offload that because I've learned in getting older is that we all have gifts and that there are people out there who actually enjoy cleaning, love it, and love to be paid for it. And why am I not giving that to somebody else to have because I hate it. I hate it. I have a lot of shame around it. Only in the sense of like I have, I'm one of those people who's like I can't invite someone to clean my house because I have to clean my house first before they clean my house because what if they think badly about me? And like, I mean, there's so much nonsense wrapped up in my brain around some of these tasks or things and executive functioning things about calling or seeing the doctor and doing all the appointments you're supposed to do on time. And like, there's so much of my brain space that goes to just getting these normal, probably what other people think of as normal done. There's so much anxiety. There's so much planning. There's so much stuff that I'm learning as I'm older, it's like where you can offload that stuff.
Hmm.
We should and
I
not feel
wonder,
badly about
like,
it.
if in a neurotypical brain, I wonder if those types of tasks just are like the nervous system deals with those in an appropriate manner.
Yes, I
And
think so.
like the cleaning the house or doing calling, doing these errands or making these calls or the doctor's appointments and things like that. Like if that's just like, these are lower level things, we're not going to get
Just
too
do
worked
them.
up on them because we understand that we are able to do these things and we're going to complete them and we're confident in that. Whereas the neurodiverse brain might be like, we're not sure of anything. We
No, we can't do it.
we need to be hyper vigilant about everything because
This
we're
is
not really sure.
Right. We're
this is
like
why,
greyhounds. We're like
yeah.
greyhound dogs. And if you don't put a rabbit in front of us, right, we're just dogs sitting on like dirt waiting. But then if you're like, hey, we got this rabbit, this fake rabbit that's on this thing, do you want to chase it? Hell yeah, let's do it. You know what I mean? We're
But
like greyhounds.
this
We
is
need to
why
chase it.
AI has been revolutionary for me. And I know people have complicated feelings about it, but I can go in and write a really imperfect email and be like, just bleh. I have to say this to this person. Now make it nice and organized. And it does it for me. And now I've taken something that I am not kidding you, may have taken me 3 days of thinking,
That's your
rereading.
housekeeper. There's your housekeeper right
Yes,
there. That's your housekeeper.
exactly. And now I can go in and I read the email and I go, that says everything I've wanted it to say. It's nice, it's not mean or whatever it is. And there's a disconnect of like, I didn't really write it. So I don't have to be the person who's so attached to sending
Right.
it.
That's true.
And
Right.
Yeah.
I'm
It's the same thing.
starting
Like
and
you're in
I'm
the
starting
kitchen, you're
to
like, go ahead.
I was just saying, I'm starting to notice, like before it was like, we don't want anyone to know that we used AI to write. Everyone's using AI to write emails because I'm seeing them come back to me. And it's not like I go like, ha, sucker, you used AI to write that. I'm like, oh, that's clear. I completely understand what you mean. Let's go forward. It has been the amount of anxiety that has lessened in my body and brain through that has been tremendous. And Jason's right. It has been like a housekeeper for my brain.
Right. It's like making breakfast for your whole family in the morning and then realizing you have to clean everything up. And you pulled all this stuff out. And some of the stuff you're like, you know what? Well, that was actually kind of their plate. I don't have to clean that up. But the
That
truth
is
is,
interesting to think about. Like
you have someone clean it up for you. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the same sort of idea. But then you're like, I can enjoy making the breakfast because I know someone's going to clean it up. I could enjoy writing this email and not have to think about it because I know it's going to be just cleaned up the way I need it.
Well, and you can also say tell AI who's getting the email. So you can say this is going to an executive from blah. And so it's going to craft it to sort of that language that I may not always know.
Right. I've
So
got my in-laws are coming over. Can you please dust around the, do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Same
exactly.
thing.
Michael, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, like, it is interesting because the emotional attachment, like you said, is lessened. Like it becomes more of this objective transactional thing, which in a lot of times doesn't need to be emotional. It's like this, here, you need this data in order to move forward, and then you're going to give me some data back on how I need to move forward, and that's it. Rather than like, it's all wrapped in tone and misinterpretation and like projection and personalization and all this stuff, and then you're and then you're exhausted because
Especially
you've
if you have to
gone.
say something tough.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if it's not like all hearts and flowers, right? Like you've got to hold a boundary or whatever. But you say, I want to hold a boundary, but I want to be kind. And my favorite thing is when AI goes like, is that too much? Do you want me to be a little nicer? And I get to choose. It's sort of like a dial, right? But the information's all there. It's all the same. It's spelled correctly. Like it just releases so much out of my brain on, I think, what normal people, I mean, listen, if we're all watching all of the emails that have come out from the government, I won't say anything else besides that. Though those people didn't, like the top people in the world don't seem to know how to use punctuation. And yet I'm over here totally stressing out for my whole life about if an email has a misspelling or punctuation in it. And
Yeah.
so, I've been paralyzed by stuff like that.
How that would reflect on you or how you'd be
Yeah.
judged or perceived.
If I only
Yeah.
knew how to use a semicolon and a colon correctly. I never really learned that.
Well, you see, in AI, you don't have to learn it. It'll just do it.
Do we really need those anyway? Honestly, the punctuation, they're so rarely used for what? Anyway. But
I don't
the
know.
main thing I
I
took
like I
away
love a
from
good
today.
ellipses, Jason. I'm a Gen
Mm-hmm.
Xer. I love a good
Love,
ellipses.
likewise.
Yeah, true.
My
by the
kids
way.
Gamifying.
hate
To
it.
me, this episode is gamifying. For me, anything you gamify, I'd be in. Anything, whether it's like
Yeah.
if you could do four things, if you could accomplish four phone calls a day for for 7 days, make the list of the 28, whatever, and there was a game behind it, or
Well, I
the
think
top seller gets,
we,
the top caller gets,
But
or that walk in the morning when I should be taking just an hour long walk. If there was like throw a frisbee on the way, or maybe it was a little treasure hunt. I don't know, something to get
sure.
me out there. A little like, I don't know, hide, maybe an Easter egg hunt. I don't
who's
know.
gonna do that for you?
I'd walk around the course and I'd get
I,
the exercise, but I need that
I
sort of.
think there is something to that. We were talking about this in an office meeting today, as far as like I don't really like the needs to be done in process done, and it's like even if there's color on it, that is a more engaging thing for me. If you had a different theme on the board, like
Maybe
Rudy,
columns.
if you have this backdrop on your
I
thing, it's
find the
like
number one thing that gamifies the world for me is just straight up fear. It's you forgot the deadline and we're expecting it in 30
well,
minutes.
I mean, but that's no way to treat your nervous system. Is it?
No, but that is how I have functioned highly
Yeah,
for
if
for the majority of my life.
the amount of stuff that gets done due to fear,
That's what I'm trying to undo,
yeah.
actually, is how much, if you really want to know, my best work is done under pressure.
Mhm.
100% my best work. My brain is most creative. I do it quickly. I do it well when I am under pressure. And
Because
that is a horrible
That's how
way
we operate.
to approach life.
yep, because that's what gives you the surge of motivation.
Hmm.
I need gold stars and like bags of M&Ms as rewards. Like I'm looking for I want to be the top walker or the top caller or the top,
Bags of
like anytime
M&Ms.
you gamify something, to me it's not, to me
So
it's an actual competition.
your treasure hunt example would be you're on a walk and from every tree you pass down from a string is hanging a little bag of M&Ms. You just
Something.
But if you
Maybe
don't
an
get there in
egg
the right
sandwich.
time, it yanks back up.
right, exactly. It goes back up into the tree.
But I'd love to
Hmm.
make it some sort of game. I'd love to do that. And I love games. I think I love, to me, anything that's competitive, engaging, um, in that sort of way, whether it's a board game or throwing a bottle, trying to get a bottle into a basket from a certain distance from behind, the sidewalk. Anything, throwing a ball, kicking a rock. How far can you kick it? How far will it
I
go?
think I think the mundane or the rational brain, it's it's honestly like it's so boring, it's kind of painful. It's like what's the point in living,
Right,
Like
right,
I
right.
actually heard something somewhere that, because I always have told my kids, and this is the autism piece of my puzzle, that and this is actually true. Creativity often starts at the beginning of boredom. And so I would always tell my kids, do not shrink from boredom. Like, we want boredom to happen because that's where creativity starts. But
I'm writing
I
that
just
down.
recently read something about how for those with an ADHD brain, that boredom can physically feel painful.
Yes.
And
Oh,
that
yes.
and that is not something that I've not had that, right? Like I'm actually, though, I'm never bored. I overload myself. There's no boredom in my world. But I just have never thought about that idea that for some boredom, and it sounds like for both of you perhaps, and we need to wrap up here soon, but that boredom can be physically painful. So
Yeah.
that's an interesting, I
At
think.
the
Oh,
very least, it's there's discomfort with it.
Yeah.
severe discomfort.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
But I do believe that even if there is discomfort, that the beginning of that where you sit with boredom is the beginning of creativity, because creativity is refusing to be bored, right? It's like just saying, I'm going to take this moment and turn it into something else.
And
Yeah.
usually that's how I operate.
Yeah. Well, I
That's
think
why
a lot of us do who are Gen X or older because we didn't have the ability to get on a phone, get on a TV or whatever. Our parents threw us outside and we just had to, if we were bored, we all got together with the neighbor kids and made games up. That's
sometimes
what
you
we
just go
did.
around your own house and look through drawers. You go down to the basement and shit, right? And you'd just be like, oh, I know it's kind of weird down in the basement, but there's that one room where they have all those cabinets. Let's just start looking through them. I mean, that's what I would do.
I think that's why like
When you're
antique
bored and
stores are
you're
so
like inside, you're
fascinating.
not going outside and they've left and you're by yourself, you're like, play with stuff. I don't know. We all did it. We looked through drawers. I'm
And
sure
on
we did.
that note,
On that
And
note,
on that note, what a wonderful episode of This Is How My Brain Works.
now
Right?
I get to, when we put this out, ask everybody on our social media what's the weirdest thing you found when you were going through
When you
the
went in your drawers
cancer.
when you were bored in
that question and
1978.
what boring thing have you gamified? I want to hear some feedback on that.
That's good feedback.
I love
Yeah.
it. All right.
All right. For Sarah Hines, who isn't here, Michael Collins, Krista Gano, and myself, Jason Rudofsky, thanks again for listening to This Is How My Brain Works.
Solid.
If you like this episode of This Is How My Brain Works, please like, subscribe, and share. This podcast is the creative work of This Is How My Brain Works. It is not authorized for use in training, development, or refinement of artificial intelligence or machine learning systems. Any attempt to copy, analyze, or repurpose this audio for AI training is explicitly prohibited.